Vă propun în cele ce urmează un scurt interviu cu vicepreședintele ONU, Barbara Kolm, deputat ales al Partidului Libertății în Parlamentul Austriei. Discutăm despre, de ce nu, starea complicată pe care o trăiește astăzi lumea, mai cu seamă în perspectiva acestor alegeri care s-au întâmplat în Statele Unite, dar și în dinamica bătăliei noastre pentru Schengen și, evident, vis-a-vis de ceea ce ar putea să însemne, de pildă, o criză economică începând din 2025. Mrs. Barbara Kolm, thank you for accepting this interview. Welcome in Romania, in Cluj at Babeș-Bolyai University. I would like to ask you, first of all, how do you see the victory of Donald Trump in USA?
Well, thank you for inviting me to this interview. I think it's an opportunity for economics, for businesses and enterprises. And if the US grow again, then hopefully Europe will follow suit and will have opportunities to unleash the powers of the market and be more productive. However, there is this question with regards to trade and with customs and duties, and I hope this will be solved on a positive way also for Europe.
Do you have hopes for the next administration in White House?
Well, of course, I mean, they will definitely change. They will cut taxes again. They will cut red tape and regulation and support and foster by that the economy and rise employment and be more productive. So if one nation is doing that, then of course others will hopefully in the competitive process understand what needs to be done, and I hope that Europe will follow suit.
There is huge expectations or huge worries in some part of EU regarding this relationship between EU and the USA. How do you see this relationship?
Well, you know, we have seen many woke media and information only that were only from one side. If we look at both sides, then I think you can come to a realistic solution. And when it comes to politics, it's about discussions and about disputes and about negotiations. And after all, I think it will be possible, or it has to be possible, and we must, as Europeans, sit on the table and negotiate.
How do you see EU resolving these problems? There are many opinions in the EU, many barricades. How do you see EU in the future?
Well, you know, what we've seen recently, just yesterday, obviously the German government was blown up from within, and because the federal minister of finance said, you know, he cannot fulfill the demands of the Social Democrats and the Greens by spending more and more and more. The burden is way too high. It destroys the economy and it destroys the enterprises and the businesses, and by that the labor and business location of Germany and in the consequence also of Europe, because we rely also on the German economic engine. And if this economic engine is stuttering, we have a problem. And this is clearly seen. And in those countries that adjust their budgets, that reduce spending and also cut taxes, we see economic growth and productivity is rising again. Whereas in countries where you tend to overspend, where welfarism is big, we have issues. So we need to look what is good for our own countries and what needs to be done in those places to restore the balance within income and outcome of the national budgets.
How do you see this problem or this perspective? Do you think that Europe will be saved together, or in every part of it? Every country has its own politics. Every country has its own solution, or it's a common solution.
Well, I'm not a big fan of this one-size-fits-all policies. Europe has always been most successful when we were competing also within. This doesn't mean that we don't use our four European freedoms, especially those are actually very important, and we need to keep those. But we need also to have competitive ideas, and Europe is very diverse. What is true for Romania is not true for Portugal, or what is true for Sweden is not true for Italy, maybe. And so this has, on the other hand, always been our biggest advantage, that we have this diversity, because this creates innovation, this is creativity, this creates growth in the end, economic growth in the end. And if we make use of that, instead of using this one-size-fits-all thing, then it's bad. And there is one other thing that we need to look at. We need to go back to the subsidiarity principle. What can be solved on the local level, whether it's the community level, the local branch, or the state level, and then the national level, should be solved there before we go to Brussels and tell them do it. And that's, I think, very important. So this is also true for all these regulations that are coming out of Brussels, and that many countries, for example, like my own country, Austria, is gold plating. It's worse if we have those regulations, but if we gold plate them, it's even more destructive for the economy.
Looking for the economy, follow the money. You're an expert on economy. You're the former vice president of central bank in Austria. Coming from 2025 onwards.
Again, if we don't do our homework, namely structural reforms, cut spending and cut the red tape, then it will be very big. Just to give you an example from my own country, but if we only have to look at Germany across the border, then the crisis is big, because the deficits are way too high. They are not functionable anymore, and the deficits are bad, and the growth of the deficits is like a hockey stick. And so we need to make sure that we cut that. Otherwise, we will not be able to stick within the Maastricht criteria. I mean, we've broken the Maastricht criteria during COVID with all this exceptional spending that we did. And the consequences of the lockdowns, inflation, etc., we see these days. And that is exactly where we need to do our homework, where we need to fix it. We need to fix that, and if we don't, then we are lost, and 25 will not be a good year in that case. But I'm always a positive person, so I have good hopes for our politicians across Europe, that they see these issues and that they understand that it's unrealistic to even spend more, and instead of invest or especially allow companies, enterprises to invest and unleash those powers.
When there is a large majority in EU and also in Romania, also in media, many of journalists speaks about your party, Freedom Party in Austria. You are deputy in Australian Parliament and member of this party. And many of journalists says that your party is opposed to Romanians' action to reach Schengen. Is that so? And what's your position?
Well, the Freedom Party has never been opposing anything with that regards. If we look at Schengen, we have to be very clear that, if we want the borders within Europe open, then we need to protect them to the outside just for safety reasons, and that is very clear. And we are definitely pro-Schengen, but we are also pro-labor markets, pro-migration, pro-integration of the European Union. Austria was actually the first country that benefited the most after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and was truly into economic exchange, and therefore I think it's a matter of reason how we conduct this in a very positive way. The Freedom Party is very positive on that front.
So what do you think? What are the chances of Romania to reach Schengen in 2024?
Well, we, the Freedom Party, won the last elections just a couple of weeks ago with almost 30%. However, the ÖVP and the Social Democrats want to form a government. The current chancellor, Neham, has also met here in Romania and was against that. So I hope that they come to reason and that they will understand that we need a different solution.
But how do you see the migration issue? You are against migration. I don't know. There is some policies that should be implemented in this direction.
Well, if we talk about migration and borders, we need to definitely have a political discourse, whether it's legal migration into the labor market where people are productive and integrate, or whether it's illegal migration into the welfare system where people come into Austria or other European countries as welfare tourists and are not productive and are not contributing. Just to give you the Austrian example, the Austrian population in 1951 was 6.9 million. By now, 2022 plus, we have 9 million plus. However, the productivity and the activity in the labor market is being reduced. So there are less people who are working now, who are part of the labor force than before, and this is an issue. So the question is, are those people coming to Austria and other European member states, are those productive, integrating in the labor market? That way, great. This is wonderful. This is what we need. Or are they just coming in as welfare tourists and receiving all the funding that our taxpayers and our workforce pays, and then it's redistributed, and that's a bad thing. So we really need to distinguish between those things, and that is, I think, truly important. This is what I think Romanians, we have many, many very productive, great Romanian people working for us in tourism, and we want even more. And this would be the benefit of this open border system.
Also, you are deputy of Tyrol region. I understood many Romanians come as tourists in Tyrol every winter, every year. But also in Schengen matter, do you think Schengen is a feasible solution? Because nowadays there are borders between the countries in Schengen.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Germany is just putting up the borders again, the controls between Austria and Germany. This is not a very good example. So we need to make sure that the borders outside the Schengen area are protected, and then I think we can open the borders within again, and every country has the right to do so. This was made in the treaties at the very beginning.
One more question. I told you many journalists speak about the Freedom Party, and also they says Freedom Party is a pro-Russian party or an extremist party. What do you say to those who call Freedom Party as extremist?
Well, I don't think we are an extremist party. We are actually very much in the center. We are now a people's party with 30% of the voters. We are clearly in the center. We are in the middle. We are there, and we are not extremist at all. Just if we look at our economic program that we wrote, I mean, the individual is in the center. It's the individual who thinks and acts and who makes the decisions and who works hard. And the Freedom Party is the person who wants to work, who is productive, who is achieving, and also pro-enterprises and pro-businesses. It's for both sides, and therefore we said we need to cut taxes, we need to get rid of the red tape, we debureaucratize, get rid of all this regulation, and make sure that Austria is a safe place for our people, for our European people who want to live here and who want to stay here in a safe place and work and be productive. So I think this is nothing radical, this is just reason and nothing else.
Last question. How do you see Europe? a conservative EU or a progressist one? Which will win?
Well, the point is that many parties in the European People's Party's family are not conservative anymore. They are more center-left instead, and so they are very close to the Social Democrats and to the Socialists anyhow, and they have the same policies. So it's rather the voices of reason who are pro individualism, pro-enterprises, who are the ones who are the center-right groups, who are the conservatives, if you want to put it this way.
Mrs. Barbara Kolm, thank you.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you.